Welcome to Bears on Tap, hosted by Quentin Q. Crisco, Sonny Verma, and the one and only Ron Luce. Bringing you all the news, analysis, and opinions on the charter franchise, Chicago Bears.
And welcome back to another episode of Bears on Tap. My name is Quentin Crisco. I am joined by Samir Patel. And Samir, at some point, we got to get your name in that intro because, like, you're on this preview show every week at this point. But, Samir, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great. Doing great, Q. Can't complain. You know, let's bounce back. I'm not dripping my head after that Ravens loss. You know, still a lot of season left. So
a lot of season left, brother. Yep. 4-3.
Let's do it.
The only way to go is up after that game. We all know it can always get worse, but like
we saw 4-3 last year. I'm just it can't happen again, right? I mean, it's just
I talked about that in the post game. It was like, man, some of this it wasn't good, but like also the Ravens played extremely well.
It did,
especially after going back and watching some of the all 22. I'm like, man, the way that they were scheming up stunts and blitzes was really impressive. I posted something on Twitter earlier today that was like they executed a few of the coolest looking stunts I've seen all year seamlessly. Yeah. And you know, when you have Roquan Smith, you can do that. Roquan Smith and the rookie linebacker Teddy Buchanan was like doing outstanding at them as well. Yeah. The D line, all the timing was coming in perfectly, and it's like, okay, they went to the lab in their bye week. They really gave the Bears offense some trouble, but like they're such a talented roster that I'm more okay with that. And you know, like this all starts, I was saying on the post game show, I mentioned that, you know, they were there last year. They were at 4-2 last year, then they lost. And it's like I almost feel like there's a trauma reaction from a lot of the Bears fan base of like, we've seen this, we've seen fraudulent like 6 games worth of seasons. And like we cannot trust it now, and
we're so guarded. We're so guarded, right? And if like Lamar was playing and they got blown out, people would have been like, "Okay, we're not there yet." It was just the worst thing because it was Snoop Huntley. Caleb didn't look good on initial like during the broadcast view, and
I mean, people a lot smarter than me have said that he was fine and he was fine, he was fine, but like. We talked about it in the preview last week, right? I thought that was a big game for Caleb to step up and be the reason they won, and that didn't happen. And that was more of my disappointment than I didn't think he played poorly. I think he was, you know, you compare it to the average Justin Fields game or Mitch Trubisky game, he was probably better than a lot of those. But like it wasn't what I was hoping to see. And that's really where I got
you just get to the point where you want the Bears quarterback to be the best player on the Bears. And it just has never happened, right? And like Josh Allen's, the Mahomes, the Burrows, the Drake Mays now, they're the best player on their team. And the Bears fans want their quarterback to be the best player on the team. And Caleb had a chance to do that. And he just came up short. And so,
and you know, I mean, he still has a chance to do it. We have a very porous game or a game against a very porous defense.
Yes.
In the Cincinnati Bengals this week that, you know, there's a very real chance that this is a game where I'm in the post-game show, I'm saying like, but does it matter? You know, like
I think it does. I think it does. I mean, like people were saying that after the Cowboys game, right? Be like, oh, it's the worst defense in the NFL. Okay, well, what do you want him to do against the worst defense in the NFL? You want him to light it up, right? And so that's what he did against the Cowboys. If he does it against the Bengals, I will not poo-poo it. You know,
I mean, I guess I won't be poo-pooing it, but I'll be going like, yeah, but I'll have the but in there, you know, like I always end up like when stuff is good, I'm always tempering stuff back down. When stuff is bad, I'm always tempering stuff back up. Like that's the role I like to play in all this.
You're a very even-keeled guy, Q. That's good. Very measured.
Yeah, it protects me from being hurt ever.
We need you on Bears Twitter because there's not a lot of measured stuff going on out there right now.
So we have a question here asking how concerned should we be that Caleb at best average? I mean, Samir, what do you think?
I think that is a great question because I think a lot of people have been asking, like, well, what if he's not generational? How far does that set this team back? And I think there is a slightly larger than mild concern that we should be that Caleb is average. I think he has the potential to be great. I think his floor is slightly below average because of the risks that he takes and the stuff that if you can't coach it out of him, it's just always going to haunt him. But specifically, if I was to give my opinion, I think he's going to finish above average. I think the things that he does well are going to continue to be done well. And I think the things that he doesn't do well will be eventually corrected. I mean, he's had 7 games under this regime here. I think that he will continue to improve. So to answer Coach Z-Mac here's question, I'm not super concerned that he's going to be at best average. I think he will surpass that. But if you didn't think that, then I would be disappointed, right? Because it's another opportunity in a quarterback draft that the Bears had an opportunity to take somebody and they ended up taking somebody average. So that part would kind of bum me out. I'm just not in that camp yet to say he's going to be at best average.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think, if I end up in this weird position with it, right? Because I hear this question, not just from you, Coach Z-Mac, from I hear this outside of here as well. And when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, well, yeah, so what if he's just who's
a guy
who's an average quarterback? Like, what if he's just like Kirk Cousins long term? Like, I have a hard time saying Kirk Cousins is an average quarterback over the course of his career, but what if he's just
is Tua an average quarterback?
Tua. What if he's just Tua? That's a great example. What if he is stuck at Tua? But then I'm like, but it doesn't work that way. Because Tua doesn't have Caleb's arm. Tua doesn't have his agility, his traits in the pocket, his feel for pressure. So at the end of the day, I always come back to, well, what if he's just Tua with a super high ceiling in a game in, game out basis? And that's we watched Caleb take over games last year.
Yeah, we did.
We watched him will the Bears to overtime against the Vikings. We watched him a game-winning drive that ended up getting negated against the Packers. We watched him do some really insane stuff. And
the Commanders last year, he led a game-winning drive, right? And this year he's had the Raiders and the Commanders, right, coming down the field with time expiring, scoring. Now the Raiders got a chance to do their own thing, and it was blocked, but there was still drives where the Bears were trailing and needed him to get into scoring position and deliver, and he did both of those.
Yeah, and in all those things that we have seen, it was him capitalizing on some really impressive God-given gifts that he has more than anything. And so the idea of being at best average while still having those incredible gifts makes you say, well, he's not average then, so it's that I think the real question is, what if he is far below average with those gifts? And I don't think that that's even what we're seeing right now. So it's a tough question for me to answer always. And where I end up with it typically is Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
It just takes time for some of these guys. When you have this the physical talent that is that impressive, I'm okay just waiting a little bit. And Coach Z had another question here of, is there a world where Bagent has higher potential? And he cites the extension for a backup, and it's saying a lot about what Ben Johnson thinks of him. I think the extension does say a lot about what Ben Johnson thinks of him, but I'm also
highly.
Yeah, but I'm also kind of stuck in a spot where I'm not sure Bagent's ceiling is that much higher than what we're seeing from Caleb right now.
I agree, because he doesn't have the arm. I don't think he has the arm talent, right, that Caleb has.
Right.
They're both pretty mobile guys, I would say. Caleb's probably he's a little stockier, right? I think he can probably take a hit better if that sort of thing. But I don't know exactly Bagent's processing. When in this offense, we haven't really seen it. yet, so I couldn't speak to that. But I don't think there's anything Bagent does from a physical standpoint that's better than Caleb. Now, if you talk about what's going on upstairs, that has yet to be seen, I guess, because we haven't seen Bagent run this offense yet. And Caleb's still kind of figuring it out. But
I think from a like intelligence, from a processing speed standpoint, I've never really seen that Bagent does stuff a lot better than Caleb in what we've seen. Mm-hmm. I think they're pretty similar, frankly. But I think where this question starts to become valid is if you think Caleb is not putting in the work, and you think, and Bagent is clearly one of the hardest workers on the team. So like that's really the only spot where it would make sense to me, is if Caleb's not going above and beyond with the work, and it's showing that he's not. But I mean, I don't think that's the case. I think we'd be hearing some of that if that was the case. But frankly, I always end up in a funny place with this too, of like, man, do you remember Eli Manning? And I hate going that far back for quarterback comps, but like, do you remember how bad Eli Manning was until he suddenly went to the Super Bowl and won it? And then it's like suddenly Eli was really good. Like, it was like, that's a completely different era of quarterbacks.
Yeah, a lot of those quarterbacks were awful their first couple of years. Yeah. I mean, Peyton was awful his first year. Some of them are just bad. I always
thought Rex Grossman was better than Eli Manning in like their third year in the league, and I was like convinced that Rex Grossman was better than Eli Manning, and then Eli wins 2 Super Bowls.
One of the last points I want to make before I know we have to preview the Cincy game, is people always compare Caleb to his counterparts, right? Jaden and Drake. I think, and myself included, right, thought Caleb was more pro ready than he was without looking at the actual like signs, right? He coming from Lincoln Riley's system, that like air raid offense of shotgun and wide formations and like, pre-snap motion. Whereas Drake May at North Carolina, right, he was in a West Coast kind of offense. They had NFL style reads, progressions, route concepts, intermediate route concepts. So even though he's also starting over from a coaching standpoint, he's done some of this before at the collegiate level. Even Daniels had kind of a hybrid system at LSU that had some, traditional protections, and he was identifying some coverages, working off progressions. I don't think Caleb had progressions, right? Like this is all very new to him. And so I do think those guys had a leg up when they came in, and then Caleb's was stunted again because of the whole Eberflus disaster. So while I'm not, I'm a little disappointed he's not where those guys are, just because you see all the shiny new toys that other teams have. I'm willing to be a little bit more patient with him because he's maybe more of a project than I had initially thought, based on the style of offense that he came from.
Yeah, I think that I'm with you there, that I kind of underestimate or overestimate how pro ready he might have been. But I think it's also fair to say, like, I don't think what him and Drake May were doing is all that different in college. I think Drake May had less at his disposal to do it with at UNC. But I don't know. I think part of it came down to, like, at USC, a lot of Lincoln Riley was freedom of Caleb doing what he wanted, versus ever really being coached differently than that. And last year, after Shane Waldron was gone, we saw that he had to accept being coached differently at that point. Because with Shane Waldron, it was very much, from what we've heard, what we did at USC, which I misread. Because Caleb wanted, my read on it is Caleb came in wanting to do all the Peyton Manning stuff, so he was trying to do all the Peyton Manning stuff.
Yeah,
but like he was not really being coached to do all that either, which just ended very badly. But once Waldron was gone, Thomas Brown, I think, kind of forced like more structure onto him.
Yeah,
and then now with Ben, we see a ton of structure on him, and I think there's something to be said for maybe being that first year structure, but like, I don't know. I always get in a weird spot when it's comparing stuff like that, because like, then you start to get to the point, people saying, well, we just need to throw his rookie year out and this is his rookie year. And like, I'm a firm believer that is never like on the table in a conversation, because your rookie year impacts the player that you become. It just does.
Absolutely. It does.
Yeah. So
are you behind the learning curve because of what happened in your rookie year? Sure. But you develop either both good habits and bad habits from that year. It's not like it never existed.
Yeah. Yeah. And Yeah, I think we can leave it at that. I'm good with that. But and then Scott mentioned in here that for Caleb in his first year in a pro offense, people need to calm down, and that Caleb is pacing nearly 4,000 yards on the season. So, like, there's also that. Like, he did throw for 285. I know 80 of that came in garbage time, or 60 of that, whatever it was, came in garbage time. But like, I don't know if DJ gets that touchdown. Is it still garbage time? Because like, there's 2 minutes on the clock, and
then it turns into a 1-score game, right? And that's not garbage time. So
I mean, I guess that is the way I'd put it. It might have been garbage time, but there's no way the Ravens were like okay with allowing a 60-yard pass. Like that was not in the plan for them.
Yeah, and I don't know if Bajan can make that throw.
I don't know if many quarterbacks in the NFL can make that throw. But anyways, let's go ahead and get to
we're on to Cincinnati.
Exactly. We're on to the Bengals. And the Bengals.
Oof, yeah.
Samir, what are your general thoughts on the Bengals right now?
You know what? They're the wounded tiger, I would say. They are reeling. They just lost to the 0-7, previously 0-7 New York Jets, which I don't like as a spot for the Bears to come in and, try to sneak away with another win, because this team will be like, we just lost to the 0-7 Jets. We need to hunker down. Obviously, it's a tale of two sides of the ball, right? You've got one side of the ball that has a couple of guys that terrify you. You've got the other side of the ball where you're licking your chops, looking at juicy matchups. They're young in a lot of places. Fairchild and Rivers, who I think have actually played pretty well. Right? Being thrown into that offensive line mix. I know their line was a little shaky early, but I feel like they kind of pulled it together for Flacco a little bit. I guess the big thing is Flacco going to play or not? I'm assuming he is, because Browning, that is a big drop off between those two quarterbacks.
Yeah, I think more than anything, Flacco brings a suitable style of play to an offensive line that might not hold up as well in the deep drop back game and the constant drop back game. He allows them to do more play action, more stuff that might not have necessarily been, because Joe Burrow doesn't like play action, right? Joe Burrow does not want to turn his back to the defense, and that impacts the way that they can run the football. He wants to be in shotgun and watching the defense. Mm-hmm. That changes the way you run the football. It negatively impacts the way that you can run the football. And Flacco being plenty good under center helps them be able to run the football in a more downhill manner, which opens up more of the pass game for them. And when you have T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, like, you only need it to open a little bit, I don't know that Fairchild and Rivers have been playing all that well. I haven't watched their tape, so I can't sit here and say whether they have or not, but I don't know if their play has changed as much as the way that the offense is structured has changed, and a quarterback who can run an offense that way.
Fair. Okay. Yeah. And then I look at their linebacker situation as well. I think there's plenty to expose on that end. The cornerbacks, I think, have actually been playing pretty well. I just think that nobody on their team can tackle. So unless they learned how to do that, the course of the last week, I think hopefully that's something that Ben can expose.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think this game is just gonna be a shootout, frankly. Like, I don't really see how it won't be when you're talking about Jamar Chase and T. Higgins against
they're gonna get
the cornerbacks that the Bears have. Like, with this roster, I mean, I've been pounding the table for years. Joe Flacco's elite, always has been elite, will continue to be elite until long past I'm dead and gone. So like, I just think Joe Flacco knows how to run an offense. Like, and he is a smart quarterback. He can't move for his life, but like, he still has a cannon of an arm, and he knows how to use it.
Yep.
And I just have to mention, I just Googled, because Joe Flacco did get hurt, a shoulder injury, and he's listed as day-to-day. But the second headline I see when I Google Joe Flacco is Bears are embarrassingly small favorites over losing team with 40-year-old quarterback. And that is a headline. That is quite the headline. And like, that's what we should have named this episode, honestly.
I was actually surprised they were favored, to be honest. I thought it would be a pick'em or Bengals as a slight edge.
Yeah. I kind of thought the same.
Yeah, just based on the performance we saw and then the injuries up front. Now they are getting some people back, hopefully. Most notably Austin Booker. So we'll see how he factors into that rotation. But, the sad part is like, yeah, the secondary was banged up, but they only had 3 pressures against the Ravens, and the 2 high-paid edge rushers that they have totally healthy and played. And so, yeah, I'm not faulting the secondary for giving up chunk plays to Tyler Huntley. They're practice squad guys. They're doing the best they can. But man, where's Montez Sweat? Where's Dio? Where are these guys that we're paying money to help out the young cornerbacks, not get shredded?
Samir, this is the problem with building your team through free agency and trades. You overpay. You have to overpay. And Montez Sweat is an edge 2 on most teams.
Yeah.
Dio Ingbo is an edge 3 on most teams. But because of what they're paid, there are edge 1 and edge 2. And frankly, this defensive line is just not really built to get pressure on their own. More than anything, they are built to dent the pocket. And what I mean by that is like they are trying to crush the man in front of them, condense the pocket down, and force the quarterback to throw into a window he doesn't want to. And Dennis Allen is really good at forcing a quarterback into the window that Dennis Allen thinks he's going to go to. Like it's something that he's really made a career as a DC doing. But one of the downsides of that is, one, you're going to need a blitz to get pressure. It's really hard to blitz when you're starting 3 backup cornerbacks because you need more bodies and coverage. And 2, it is exhausting on the edge rushers to be trying to constantly bowl over the offensive tackles. There's a reason why Deo and Sweat up until last week were usually playing like 60% of the snaps because they need rest to be able to play like that. And both guys were 80 and 90% of the snaps last week. Like that really just dwindles their impact on the game. And this isn't an excuse for either of them. They're paid to be 1 and 2. They need to be 1 and 2, but like, I just don't think that's in the cards for them either. Like I'm just talking what I think is realistic for the players that I've watched play. They're not going to start becoming some burners on the edge who are going to beat guys around the corner. They're going to keep trying to beat the man through his chest. And that is just not as efficient a way to pressure. And it feeds into the way Dennis Allen likes his defense to play, but it doesn't mean they're paid the right amount of money for what they're doing.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier to just have the pocket collapse and force the quarterback to throw in tight windows when you have Jalen Johnson, Tyreek Stevenson, and Kyler Gordon back there too, right? To make those windows even tighter. Now that you've got McLeod, Nashawn Wright, and Jalen Jones, those windows are a little bit bigger, and the plan's not working the way it's supposed to.
Right, right. But Samir, why don't we get to our first segment here?
The baddest man.
Samir, who is the baddest man on the Bengals?
I'm very thankful that you let me go first in these situations because then I just take the low-hanging fruit and then you're forced to like figure something else out. So once again, thank you. Because I'm going to go.
I've always got a few ideas in my head.
All right, good. I put a backup one down too. My backup one was DJ Turner, just because he's got 13 passes defensed. I think that leads the league actually, and he has a couple picks on the season. If Caleb's not great with his ball placement, you can't lose the turnover battle right now in a shootout. You need every possession that you can get. So that would be somebody to watch out for. But I mean, come on, Jamar Chase is the obvious answer. The Bears are extremely thin at the secondary. Flacco throws to him every other pass. I think I've got a stat here, 54 targets over the past 3 games since Flacco has become the starter. That's the most targets a wide receiver has ever commanded in a 3-game span since targets became a stat, and breaking Isaac Bruce records of 53. So just by one from 1995. So this dude is just feeding Jamar Chase. And if he gets matched up on Mayshawn wrong, it's going to be a problem. Dennis Allen is really going to have to figure out what number 1 is doing and bracket him or whatever it is. We can't have Sweat drop into coverage again. All those trick things that they were trying to do. He's going to be a problem. He's going to eat for sure. I don't see how they stop him.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I do think, like, I'm okay with dropping Sweat into coverage. I think it gets overblown.
Okay.
Like,
all right.
This is Dennis Allen's defense. He's going to drop 8 sometimes, and that means one of the 4 down linemen is dropping. He's going to bring 8 sometimes. Like, that is part of what makes the defense all work, and part of what you sign up for with Dennis Allen. And I've talked about this, since they hired him. Bears are going to blow stuff.
Yeah.
It's the part of the Dennis Allen defense. Dennis Allen's goal is to break the offense before the offense breaks him.
Breaks the defense, yeah.
And that means the defense is going to get broken sometimes, because they are leaving gaps in spots to try to take advantage of other spots. And I will take that all day over a soft cover 2 defense that is never going to give you anything real, but is going to just constantly let you die a paper
cuts to death. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that benefits a veteran like Flacco, or do you think that somebody like Flacco can find those weaknesses on a Dennis Allen coverage because he's seen so much?
I mean, he can find the weakness in any coverage, but I tell you what, he'd rather play the soft defense. Or not soft. Anyone would rather play the soft defense, but
you mean the cover
that's
2,
dropping
right?
into predictable zones.
Yeah.
All day, Joe Flacco will take that. Last time the Bears played Joe Flacco, it actually was a Matt Eberflus game, and he was getting a little more creative with some of his coverages. Andrew Billings had a pass defense dropping back into coverage. Like,
all right,
Joe Flacco would rather not have a surprise.
Yeah,
I guess is the way I'd put it. And I think any quarterback would rather not have the surprise, but you're making Joe Flacco play more of the chess match against a defense quarter like Dennis Allen than you are against a guy who historically like Eberflus was.
Yeah, we just have to make sure we don't have all of our chess pieces. So
yeah,
that's where it becomes a bit of a challenge.
Well, that's where you need to get even more creative now, because there's the age old idea with defensive football of the less talent you have, the more creative and aggressive you need to be, because you need to try to dictate stuff now, and you don't have the horses to just let it happen.
Right.
But for my baddest man here, I have to mention one that this is a weird one, and this isn't my official pick, but Samaje Perine is nightmare fuel for me.
Oh yeah. Okay. He keeps you up at night.
Yeah. I mean, last week, Samaje Perine had 9 carries for 94 yards and a touchdown. When back in 2014, right? I just graduated from college. I was living in Midland, Texas, believe it or not, working in oil and gas finance. And I went to Texas Tech, Lubbock, Texas, only an hour and a half away from where I was working. And big Texas Tech football fan. Samaje Perine at Oklahoma in November 2014 carried the ball 25 times for 213 yards and 3 touchdowns against my Texas Tech Red Raiders. And ever since, he is nightmare fuel. So just getting back on the horse last week, I'm like, shit, he's going to be breaking 5 tackles for 60 yards on one play.
And that PTSD is coming back on that Perine.
He's Samaje Perine, right? As an NFL player, it's nothing special, but it's just nightmare fuel for me. But anyways, you went with Jamar Chase. I could pound the table for why Noah Fant is better than TJ Hawkinson right now, but I won't. DJ Turner, you mentioned. I think that's a good pick because he has been playing some really good football from everything I've read and seen. But ultimately, I'm just going to go the easy route here. T. Higgins.
That's
There's
great.
got a bunch of backup cornerbacks out there.
Yeah.
T. Higgins, if anyone's going to dunk on backup cornerbacks, it's T. Higgins or George Pickens. Like, it's one of the two. Like, those are the two dudes who, when I see them against backup quarterbacks, I'm like, anytime touchdown bet, do it, book it. So T. Higgins scares me here because he's going to dunk on someone in this game. I guarantee
the Bengals do like to line him up in the slot too. And that's Nick McLeod territory, who didn't have a great game against the Ravens. So that if that matchup happens more than a couple times, you're right. That T. Higgins anytime touchdown could be a bet worth placing.
All right, now let's get to the Bears. Samir, who's your baddest man for the Bears this week?
Ooh, so he was my nicest guy for the Bears last week, which was Caleb Williams. But I'm going baddest man. I'm going Caleb. I think he's done being the nice guy. The Bengals defense is bad, and unlike the Ravens, they're not getting better anytime soon. They're not getting Roquan back. They don't have a Kyle Hamilton. They don't have Starks. It's not just that they played poorly. I don't think they're very good, right? They're worst in the game, in the NFL in points per game, yards per game, second worst in passing yards per game. If Trey Hendrickson doesn't play, or he's limited, Caleb should have plenty of time to throw. He needs to light it up. He knows it. I'm sure he's hearing it all week from all these talking heads of Caleb's not the guy. This will be an FU game. I can feel it coming. I think he's going to be a bad man on Sunday.
I like it. And I mean, I'm with you. I think Caleb's a nice pick here. I think the Bengals have been a not a good defense by any stretch of the imagination in general. Like, they have really struggled, especially of late. Like, I mean, Justin Fields put up 40 points on them last week, something like that.
Yeah.
So what was the final?
38,
yeah, 39-38 was the final score. Justin Fields won his first game ever where his defense allowed 21 points. So that's huge. But this isn't. I'm rooting for Fields, honestly. But
I am too. I'm rooting for Fields and the Jets.
That's not the look you want as a defense, is allowing that to have happened. And there was see, here we go. No, I've got a graphic somewhere here. I think I retweeted it. Maybe I didn't. I didn't retweet it. Okay, there was a graphic that showed like the defensive like EPA per play, pass, run, and it was like all the way at the bottom left was the Bengals, and with like no one near them, and it was like, okay, this has to be a big game for Caleb, right? Has to be. And then I'm gonna go defense just because you went offense. Like, I think you could go Rome here. I think you could go Swift here. But I changed my mind. I'm going with something. But I'm gonna do an honorable mention. This is a Montez Sweat game. Marius Mims has struggled. Joe Flacco cannot move. The last time that Sweat faced Flacco, let's see here, was 2023 right after the Bears traded for him. And, different offensive line, so that does matter. But he sacked Flacco 3 times in 2023 with the Bears.
I like that.
Flacco can't move. And I do not really think Mims is – I feel like Sweat, this is going to sound dumb, but every edge rusher does better against bad players, right? Like, or guys who are less experienced, less technical. But like, I feel like that's where Sweat really eats. Guys who like last week, he did have a sack last week against Rosengarten. Rosengarten's a technically sound player with good power profile, good athleticism. It was a nice sack by him. But I feel like a lot of Sweat's moments have come against guys who don't have that technical profile. They might have the physical profile, but he can beat them with power because he can get his hands in the right spots and they can't counter it. But for my baddest man, I'm going with my boy, going with Darnell Wright, man. Darnell Wright played a all-pro game last week.
Dude, he did. That
was I've graded like half the Bears O-line so far. That was the best game I've ever graded in 2.5 years of doing this.
Wow.
He was just utterly dominant. And that might say more about Baltimore's edge rushers than anything. But like, Wright is growing every single week with his hand placement, his hand timing, his decisiveness, and when he's throwing his hands. And just like, he is playing at such a high level these last 2 weeks that, I look at these these Bengals edge rushers. Like Hendrickson's probably going to be on the left against the, or actually, I'm not sure which side Hendrickson lines up on. Hendrickson might be against.
I'm not sure.
But Hendrickson's injured right now. We're not sure if he's going to be out there. And like, if he's going up against Miles Murphy, Joseph Osai, and Shamar Stewart, like these are all power rushers, and power rushers don't really phase Darnell because he has guard power. Like that's what makes him so impressive is that he can move despite having guard size and power. Like I think he's going to have a lockdown game, and we're going to start looking at this guy Darnell Wright as a potential All-Pro this year because I think he is playing at that level.
His knock early was those penalties, right? He had a couple bad penalties in the first few weeks, and people started getting out on him. But he's been pretty clean since he's gotten back from his injury, and it's
run blocking. Like his run blocking the last few weeks is night and day from the first few games of the season. This kudos to Dan Rochar. He is earning his money. The development that we are seeing from Darnell Wright this year is more than we'd seen in 2 years with the previous regime.
Can I give you a bonus baddest man head here is Austin Booker. I said it's time. It's time. They need a spark. I think Booker comes in, makes some noise, man. His preseason stats: 5 sacks, 9 pressures, 6 tackles, 1 forced fumble. Like he was a force. And I know it's preseason, but like this guy's been itching to get out there. I think he's been healthy for a couple weeks now. I don't know why they haven't put him out there, but now with Turner and Domrob going down, it's his turn to shine. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a multi-sack game from Mr. Austin Booker in his debut.
I think I know why we haven't seen him activated.
Why is that?
I don't think they know what to do with him.
Oh.
I mean, we have Deo Odingbo, Montez Sweat, Dominique Robinson, Tano Passanio, and Shamar Turner. Those guys are all like 270 plus.
And playing defensive end.
I don't know if that, like, I think they have a role in mind for him coming into this year, but it's very passing down oriented, which could result in those sacks. So like I like the pick and I hope it's right, but I'm not very confident that they feel great about playing him in general right now, just because
he doesn't fit that Dennis Allen.
Right. I think that they're going to try to force a role for him. And like, I believe Dennis Allen can do that. Dennis Allen has had Von Miller on his roster before, but like, but he's not quite Von Miller either.
No, he's not. He's way smaller, I think, isn't he?
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah. Well, I just meant like the caliber, like, you'll make exceptions for Von Miller, but like, I'm not sure how they're going to deploy him. I'm sure they will, because like we've seen Daniel Hardy get snaps. We've seen them put Don Rob at really wide alignments, and Don Rob's playing.
Yeah, he played well. That ankle sprain came at a bad time for him. He was finding his niche here.
But I think that we're going to see Booker on the field, but I'm not sure how, like, where you're fit. It's got to be a third down role. Like that. That's really.
I think so. Oh, I think so. And I think so. It's going to be a third down passing type role for sure. Yeah.
And we had Neil in the comments saying that Trey Hendrickson plays the right side. So even if that's the case, I'm still going with Darnell. Bring it on. And we'll discuss it in the post game if it's wrong. But let's get to our next segment here.
The nicest man.
All right, Samir, who's your nicest man for the Bears this week?
All right, I'm going to take a page out of Brendan's book last week, and I'm going to call out somebody that's not playing on the field but has an impact, and I'm going to go with Richard Hightower as my nice guy of the week. I think he, in a strong coaching staff, it's very evident where some of the weak links are, and special teams has been tough. The kickoff coverage has been very poor. The Ravens started every drive near the 40-yard line. I think if the Bears want to win, giving the opposing team the ball near midfield is probably not the way you want to go. Now, the Bengals are kind of a middle-of-the-pack return team, but, I mean, middle of the pack when you're playing against a poor kickoff coverage team means you're probably going to have favorable field position. So I would say look for them to capitalize on good field position, especially if it's after a field goal, right? I mean, The Bears have a tough time right now scoring touchdowns. They kick 3. The last thing you want to do is give up a return to the 45-yard line and where they only need a couple first downs and they can get their 3 right back, right? So Richard Hightower needs to do something about that. Torrey Taylor had some nice punts last game, but in illegal formation, wiped a really nice one out. And then how much leeway does he even give Santos, at Paul Brown Stadium, which isn't one of the worst stadiums to kick in, but it's not one of the friendliest. It can get a little windy and stuff in there. So special teams has a chance to, especially in a shootout, it could derail a game. So my nice man is Richard Hightower.
That's an interesting one because you're right. Like against a high-powered offense like this, especially like field position will play into stuff in a game where we think might be high scoring and close. Like that, it's those fine details that can make the difference. Now, for mine, I'm going a little different here, a little off the beaten path, and I'm going with DJ Moore.
Okay.
I think DJ is going to have some of this is is Burden out of concussion protocol? I think he's going to have a short leash in this game. And I think that, and here's why, like we've all seen the all 22 of like him in the back of the end zone on one of those final plays or the final play for the offense. And like him sitting when everyone is all the film nerds, all the backup quarterbacks saying like, I should have carried over to there. He's sitting right behind the hook defender.
Roquan.
And that's just one item. Then we had like Matt Waldman on Twitter last night talking about like Drake May versus Caleb Williams. He says, I'd rather have Kayshon Boutte than DJ Moore because at least you know what Kayshon Boutte's going to do. That was interesting, right? And then like today, when I'm looking at the offensive line tape, I noticed at least 1 or 2 plays where I think DJ might have mixed up his guy. And I pair all that with Ben's comments about guys being held accountable, and I'm sitting here going like, I just don't think DJ's in his playbook I hate to say in his playbook, but he's not executing the way that they want him to. I think it's just an opinion, but like from everything I can piece together here, I think that he's going to have a short leash in this game, and like maybe they'll go more double tight end with Zacchaeus and Rome if Burden's not out there. But like I think DJ is the first receiver off the field.
That is very interesting. Very good insight from you. I think you're right. If Burden was healthy, man, that would really tell, what Ben Johnson thinks of him. But DJ might get more snaps because of just we're a little thin if Burden's out. I do agree with you. I do think there's been instances where DJ and Caleb have not been on the same page. There's been a few times. It's not just the one at the back of the end zone against the Ravens game. There were a couple other instances where you're like, was that a bad throw? Did DJ stop running? What happened there? It's happened more than once. And the scramble drill, I think, I don't, that one at the end of the Ravens game was a nice one. But other than that, when the scramble drill time comes, he's really looking at his tight ends or Rome. I don't think he's ever really had DJ on a comeback or go to the ball a lot. Right. So yeah, that's an interesting pick.
Yeah. And so even on that scramble drill that he got, like I was kind of, because in my opinion, that ball should have been out to Rome pretty, or to DJ pretty quick off the snap, and it wasn't. And I felt like DJ just kind of stopped, and then he saw the ball in the air, and that's when he got back on his horse. Like, and that was just my initial thought when I first saw the all 22. It was like, oh, okay, so he was kind of giving up, but then he knows the ball's in the air and said, okay, I can get that, which was also interesting to me. I don't really think he was working all the way there. And I hate to call guys out that much, but like we need more. If you're watching DJ Moore, we want to be a more consistent effort from you, whether you think that's fair or not.
Well, he's a friend of the pod, so I'm sure he's listening.
Yeah. But Samir, let's get to the Bengals.
Let's get to the Bengals. Okay, so my nicest man on the Bengals, I'm going with 2, I guess, and they both play the similar position. I'm going with the rookie linebackers that they have, Barrett Carter and Demetrius Knight. Carter just replaced Logan Wilson, I think, in the last game or maybe 2 games before. It's kind of like the guy with the green dot. However, the Bengals, like we said before, lead the league with 81 missed tackles this season. And the next is like the Steelers at 60. So that's like not close. It's like 10 missed tackles a game. He's like, and the linebackers are a large reason why. So I think they'll have success attacking that middle of the field. Getting Kyle or DeAndre Swift to that next level, I think will help a lot. And then, your boy DJ, if they can get him some screens, and he can get past that first level, he's great, at the yak and the missed tackles. So I think they'll try to maybe expose that middle of the field. Caleb does like to do that play action, especially early when it's scripted, get those tight ends involved. Let's see if we can't turn, a 5-yard catch into a 15-yard gain because the first guy misses.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a very fair place to go. And like, frankly, I mean, you can't, outside of like Trey Hendrickson, DJ Turner, maybe Geno Stone, and like, I like TJ Slayton. His grade doesn't look here. I've always liked TJ Slayton and BJ Hill though. So like, but outside of those guys, I feel like you can go just about anywhere on this defense and make
Battle's
it.
Having a pretty
argument.
Good season too, I think.
Who is?
Battle safety.
Is he? Okay.
I think so.
I'll take your word for it. I know I've seen a nice thing said about him, but like that's, sometimes that's the extent that you get it on when you have this young of a defense. But I'm going on the offense because I just expect the defense to give up points here. I expect the Bears defense to give up points, but to me, the difference will be like more the offense, which offense makes the most mistakes loses this game. And if I'm Dennis Allen, I'm sitting here going, Jalen Rivers does not have very fast feet. And I love stunts. I love to run stunts. Mm-hmm. I'm running a bunch of stunts that are trying to take advantage of Jalen Rivers in this game. And that's part of where I think you get a big Montez Sweat game is running stunts off that right side.
That's a great call. Jalen Rivers, one of his knocks is he's just not, his feet aren't very good.
Yeah.
He constantly scores low. He scores low on PFF grades because of that. But I mean, he's played kind of well for a rookie otherwise, but you're right. The feet are slow and the stunts are Dennis Allen.
Don't get me wrong. He's got power for days. There's no question about that. He is a very powerful human being, but I don't think his feet can keep up with a stunt that if you can get his eyes and body going to the right, you can get someone around the left side. Is kind of the way I see it.
Maybe that's where Austin Booker comes into play.
Maybe it is.
Third down defensive end on those stunts.
That might be. But Samir, let's talk about our keys to victory here.
Let's do it.
Keys to victory.
All right, Samir, do you have a key to victory for the Bears in this game?
I got two. One of them's pretty obvious, and Brendan harps on it every week, is touchdowns, not field goals. We need to score touchdowns, especially with the poor kickoff coverage. You can't, take 3 and then be ready in a couple first downs later to give the 3 right back, right? We need to get 7 on those drives. But the big one I put is pass rush needs to hit. I think Flacco's too smart and savvy to give him all day. Need to get to him early and often because he's not very mobile. Right? Like let's get that pass. Let's make life easy for the cornerbacks, because if Flacco has a lot of time to throw, those cornerbacks are not going to be able to keep up with Higgins and Fant and Chase. So that pass rush needs to hit.
Okay. So for my first one, I'm going to go on the offensive side because I like what you threw out there. And it's just following what coach is saying, right? What Ben Johnson's putting out in the media. Be on the details.
Yeah.
Be on the details. And I know like a lot of his comments are framed about penalties. I think they're about a lot more than penalties. I think they are about spacing, about positioning, about a receiver being at his landmark when he's supposed to be at his landmark. Because reading between the lines, between what he's saying about Caleb and what he's saying about everyone holding themselves accountable, it sounds to me like guys are not in their spots at the right times within the offense. And it also comes down to run blocking. Like I think that the receivers have had a rough game against the Ravens from a blocking perspective. And that everyone says receiver blocking, who cares? It matters a lot. When
It
you are
matters
playing in these condensed formations, like in a spread offense, it's not as important, right? Because they're all the way over there. And that defender's all the way over there. But like in these condensed formations, everyone is a box defender, essentially. So everyone is a blocker that matters at that point. Like they need to be hitting their spots, hitting the right guys, stuff with how much motion they have. That means the defense is constantly changing too. They need to know where they're blocking, who they're blocking, despite what might be changing. Like this is a game where you need to be on your details to win because like you're going to need to score points.
Yeah, you're going to need to score points.
Yeah. And then do we want to throw another one out there? Just kind of brainstorm it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
as far as another key to victory, yeah, go ahead. What do you got?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at their games. Like you got to pound the rock. Like you have to. This is the number 32 rushing defense in rush yards allowed. They allowed 250 yards to the Jets last week on the ground, like 150 to the Packers 2 weeks ago, 150 to the Steelers last week. Like they have not found any answers to the run game. And with the way that the Bears O-line is run blocking, you need to rip off, I'd say rip off at least, 5 explosive runs. I think you can do it in this game.
I hope so. I agree with that, right? They're last in yards per game in terms of their rush defense. Swift seems to have found a groove, and I really like the 1-2 that they have with Kyle Monangai and DeAndre Swift. I think Ben, I don't know why he got away from the run game so much last week. Maybe he saw something, but Swift only got 11 carries, something like that.
I think he was nursing the groin. Like I think they were trying to keep him pretty limited. And honestly, I'm not 100% sure on this, but like I feel pretty good about it from what I've heard and saw. I think the Ravens were stacking up against the run. They're like, well, if you're going to do that, we're going to throw.
Yeah. Could be similar, right? Could be a similar situation. So I think they do need to find success on the ground. I think they need to find success early, right? Don't get down on yourself. Score a touchdown early, man. A touchdown on your opening drive, I think, would go a long way for this team and their confidence.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think, I almost forgot predictions. Samir, do you have a score prediction for this one?
I'm going back and forth on this. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think the Bears drop another one, unfortunately. I think it's like a 35-31 kind of game. Where it's fun, it's back and forth. Both teams have a lead. I just think Flacco is a little too unfallible, and that our defense is a little bit too beat up to stop them consistently. They just have so many weapons on that side of the ball. But I do think Caleb plays better. I think the offense plays better. I just don't think we have the horses on the defensive side to slow them down.
I mean, I think that's fair. I'm gonna go the opposite end of that, though. I'm gonna go 31-28 Bears. Okay. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a lot of points, but I think Dennis Allen will be the difference in this game. I think we saw last week every game, Dennis Allen is going to give you 2 to 3 chances where he gets the quarterback to do exactly what he wants the quarterback to do, and he has put someone exactly in position to take advantage of it. Last week, Kevin Byard almost had it. The ball got tipped, and Kevin Byard couldn't get it. I think that was the Dennis out. Like that was the moment in that game where they were like, "We got them right where we want them, and we're about to take this ball away from them." Like I think that's what's going to determine this game. One play like that, and I think that's going to be the difference. The Bears getting that play, and the Bengals not.
I mean, I'm trying to be glass half full, but how excited are you to have this defense fully healthy with Dennis Allen there? Right? Doesn't that make you just feel like, man, that this group could be pretty good, right? If they get, I mean, I know Kyler staying healthy has become kind of a soft subject, but man, if you had Jalen and Tyreek and Kyler out there, like, I don't know, I just feel like
it completely changes this defense because all your pass rush questions, all the stuff about like, well, why aren't the edge rushers getting pressure? It doesn't matter as much because suddenly you're rushing 5 a lot more. Like, because you don't know who that 5th guy is, or you don't know who the 4th guy is because Montez Sweat's dropping, you have Noah Sewell flying through the A gap, and they were not fully prepared for it. Like he's a card counter. That's what Dennis Allen is what he does. Yeah. And like it gets condensed so much when you don't have the back end talent.
Yeah.
And that's where they're at right now. But whenever they do eventually get it, I'm very excited to see how it's all working together.
Hopefully we get to see it this season, But
I hope so, man. I sure hope so. But Samir, why don't we get out of here with a good old-fashioned bear down, and we'll talk to everyone next time.
Yes, sir. Bear down, guys.
Bear down.